Coming to you from UBN Studios in Burbank, California. You're listening to the UNSUGARCOATED podcast with your host, Aalia Lanius.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of UNSUGARCOATED with Aalia. I am so happy to be with you. Though I have a true confession, real production issues. My computer just got dunked by my water bottle. I'm going to do this episode off of my phone, reading my notes. So please, I apologize in advance. Just be patient. But I'm really excited for today's episode because, and I'm calling it Stand for Something or Stand for Nothing, the rise of socially conscious media. When I first started my journey as a novelist, it was always my intent to produce content that inspires someone else out there, the same way that I had once upon a time been inspired by a book I read. And I'm not exaggerating, like it took one book to change my life. And, you know, that's when it became my turn, that was definitely part of my inspiration. I just didn't sit down to write a book. I fully intended to write something that could both entertain as well as make the light go on for someone else. It is like being a Da Vinci where you're trying to put a code inside, but the codes are intended to be unlocked. And the treasure I hope they find is empowerment, man, woman, or child. But then when it came to expand on that, and then today, that's how we have UNSUGARCOATED Media, the 501c3 nonprofit media social enterprise that actually produces this podcast and has become part of that journey. Through this organization, we publish our fiction works of art, we collaborate and support other organizations and underserved communities, and we seek out projects in the film and TV world, all with the intent of creating socially conscious media that both entertains and breaks down the barriers that prevent us from having a better society than we are today. And because let me not mince words, we still have a really long way to go, guys. And while it is a noble mission, I'm proud to say that I am not the first. In fact, this is becoming a blossoming area of media that I am distinctly excited to be part of. And well, since I'm early in this venture, I decided to share a conversation with someone who I know has already been on this journey just a little bit longer than myself. Actually, a lot longer than myself. But so he's really able to speak to these changes and why we should be paying attention, what are the challenges, and how we can expect to see this trend grow. So with that, let me get started. Kent Speakman is an innovative producer, entrepreneur, and philanthropist whose experience on both sides of the camera ranges from the big screen to the small screen and the second screen. From the Daytime Emmy Awards to Maxim Super Bowl Live to Snoop Dogg's The Big Show New Year's Eve televised event, he has earned multiple awards for his work. He writes for trade publications, speaks at conferences and film festivals, and has interviewed on media outlets such as Variety, KTLA News, the Los Angeles Times Inc. magazine, and the Huffington Post. His experience allowed him to follow his passion for working with charities and social causes, leading to producing and live broadcasting world-class events, reaching hundreds of millions of people. He founded KNEKT TV as the production house behind many top charity galas shows, bringing A-list celebrity audiences to content that matters, as well as live streaming concerts with artists such as Lil Wayne and A$AP Rocky, and video exclusives with artists such as Drake. KNEKT TV television is the latest iteration of his vision, a multi-channel television network available worldwide, focused on social good. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Kent Speakman. Hello, Mr. Speakman. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Well, I'd be better if my computer was working and I wasn't over here letting it dry off in the corner praying it survives. Oh my goodness. Where are you talking to us from today?
I'm right here in Hollywood, just up in the sort of Outpost Estates area. So been here through the whole lockdown. I'm Canadian and I haven't really been able to go back. So it's been a long year at home.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you. I haven't gone anywhere since last January. And actually, when you say that, my husband's my husband's father was just recently diagnosed with cancer. We don't know the full spectrum, but just hearing that and not being able to jump on a plane and get back to Texas really broke his heart, and we don't even know what's going to happen if, information comes out that changes that. But it's very, very frustrating to not be able to go home, not be able to get ourselves recharged. But you have still remained pretty busy through 2020, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit. You've made the most of it. In fact, and I'm going to bring this up now. I remember I saw you, I knew you, we were already connected. And then I saw you at the 320 Conversations event, which was moving forward as a live event put on by Talinda Bennington and Kevin Lyman. Just an amazing mental health focused event supposed to be held at LA Live. I was actually going to be one of the panelists, and then COVID took place. I think it was March we were going to have that event.
Yeah, well, 320 Conversations was the day before they announced the lockdown the following day. Yeah. So it was literally the last live event that I think happened, or larger scale live event that definitely we did, but that was happening in LA. And then from there, one by one, all of our projects sort of disappeared. It was sort of an interesting pivot. I started actually just, you can't see it right now, but I think it was in one of the shots leading up into the interview with all the equipment. That was normally the stuff that we'd have backstage at the Emmys or on site at the venues. And so I pulled it out of storage and set it up at home. And I had some comedy friends that were trying to do some interesting, fun stuff. And we ended up green screening. My friend Art Mann dropped him into a bunch of different locations around the world, having live conversations, and sort of just pushing the boundaries of what the technology could do, and then making people laugh. And there was no financial rewards in that, but it was a fun thing for us to do. And then my friend Shaman Durek, that we were supposed to be doing a course together, we did the 30-day challenge. And so every morning we get up at 6 a.m. and then we would do an hour-long show for everybody on just proper habits and resets and how to kind of get through with tools for meditation and everything else, as everybody was kind of just getting in. I think that was 2 or 3 weeks into lockdown that we started that off. And then back to what you were mentioning, the 320 Festival, as we had we figured a lot of stuff out, went back to Kevin and said, we could really do something interesting and innovative here. And so we produced the 3-day event. It was 9 hours a day, live from all over the world, but mostly my living room. So I had a couple of our team, one sitting on the couch and one at the table behind me. And we had everybody Zooming in and Skyping in. And we had artists from all over the world, and Chris Martin from Coldplay, and just so many wonderful bands and so many conversations, hundreds of panelists calling in from all over the place talking about mental health. And it was really a really rewarding and innovative event for us to be a part of, and something that I was very, very proud of for how we were able to sort of help everybody that was involved initially, and then not let that get canceled. So.
Right. That was huge. And you did such an amazing job. And I think I remember knowing that you did it. And I'm like, damn, I'm impressed. And I could only imagine what it was like being in that background production. I mean, I've put on an event, not to that scale, and then to tell and, make all the adjustments, but it was really good that was one that was able to move forward, because like you said, I mean, our EmpowerCon event was not able to go forward in 2020, and we've postponed it to 2021, but it's so wonderful that you guys were able to. And it's funny because, like I told you even in my text message, I'm like, I still need to talk to you about that. I want to pick your brain because, again, it is bringing what we're doing. So that social good, because like 320 Conversations, all those critical conversations, training, support for people, and no more time. There couldn't be a more significant time to do what we're doing. Like, I kind of consider myself in the genre of survivors of trauma, and I'm like, yeah, we all experiencing trauma on this level. So, let me kind of back up, and I mean, I have to note, I'm sorry, it is in my note that I'm looking at on my camera on my phone, but you have actually been recognized as the most, you've many accolades, by the way, but I love that you were recognized as the most influential producer of 2018. And so you're influential, and I'm going to go into the conversation of what social conscious media means and how that's just this, what's going on there. But you came to a point in your own journey where you made a conscious decision of what the projects I get involved in, I want them to have social good as at the core. Tell me, what was it like? And, you know, as a, where a lot of influencer mentality, or at least what people perceive influencer mentality, is very superficial. How did those two things couple for you? And do you think that's actually why you make a better quote unquote influencer, because of what your DNA is about?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and I actually don't think I've ever answered it in this way. But I moved from Canada, and I was working in tech and different productions, and beating my head over the wall trying to get these little horror films and things off the ground, and they just never went anywhere. And when I started doing socially conscious content, I was actually doing a short form TV series around bringing awareness to human trafficking issues. And through an actual in-person event at the Sofitel, this would have been roughly 7 years ago now. And everybody said yes, from the celebrities to media partners, everybody got involved. And that was my first live show before Facebook or YouTube Live. So we streamed that to a website. And I had previously owned a social media agency. So I had everybody, as they got there, doing social media updates that they were going to be going live. And this was before going live was a thing that happened all day, every day with your phone. And we ended up getting over 1 million people watching that. And then from there, the phone just kept ringing. We did more band events that tied in with nonprofits. Homeless Rock Stars was the next one I think we did. And then things just kind of kept growing and growing from that point. And it was just, I just realized how impactful it was. It was actually the first show that we did as KNEKT, as the production company. KNEKT was the Make-A-Wish Power Wish Gala in 2016 in New York, and everything was going absolutely perfectly. And I actually was listening to one of the Wish kids telling their story on the red carpet, and Nigel Barker was hosting, and it was just such an amazing event. And I actually teared up and realized the power of what we were actually doing in that moment. And that's when I decided that that's what I really wanted to do, is focus on socially conscious content and make that sort of the core of everything that we were working on.
That's incredible. I love it. It obviously resonates with me because I feel like personally, when that became very clear to me, it became more exciting. Like, I look forward to Mondays. You know, it's not like it's less of a job when you know what you're doing is actually creating an impact for someone else. I think that's incredible. I love it. And that's why it was funny, because we've known each other for a minute and I knew you were doing these things. And then I saw you came out in Awareness Ties and I read the article and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's like my brother from another mother. I love it. And then, you know, within the industry, so my husband's in film, for people who know, you know, and he does real film. He does, I mean, I shouldn't say real film. That's going to sound arrogant, but I promise I didn't mean it like that. But he does films that have an array of casts. He doesn't focus always on big budget. And obviously with COVID, he's still managed to do 3 films since the shutdown, which is incredible. Not filmed mostly here in LA. But I mean, it's different because a lot of what he's looking at and produce, or, you know, it's film, it's stories, and it's all about the action. It's about, you know, what I look for and get excited is if it's a story that changes. And we have that. It's not new. Like I said, you know, Blood Diamond was a movie. I've referred to this many times after it was pointed out to me. Blood Diamond changed people's perception with a movie that gave you a better understanding. So I love that we are able to take this into film and TV, and not just necessarily, you know, events and personal development and things like conferences, though that is a huge piece. Let me ask you, like, when we talk about the rise of social conscious media from a production standpoint, from the media executive, when did you start to notice it? And obviously KNEKT TV, KNEKT, is that, I mean, I've got to ask, is it KNEKT? Like, it makes me feel like I want to connect to someone in the TV itself. Is that what's behind that?
Yeah, so KNEKT, I was obviously trying to, you know, create a brand, and so KNEKT phonetically, it's spelled KNEKT for those people who are just listening. It phonetically is said as KNEKT, and I had a Norwegian friend. I'm not Norwegian, but it's a Norwegian word that actually means like the knight that protects the people. And so it phonetically sounded like KNEKT, which was what I wanted, and then also had a little bit more of a backstory to it as sort of, I think that should be media's role, is to actually protect and empower the people to learn and be educated on more truths. So
Yeah, I mean, agreed. It has so much power. I mean, we know that all these things influence our mind. Socially conscious audiences and the impact they have on brands, politics, and society as a whole is expected to account for the greatest, or the single greatest, impact to social media next year. According to a recent survey by social media analysts from firm Talkwater and software company HubSpot, which asked 50 industry experts, social media gurus, and PR professionals from around the world to identify the coming year's top social media trends. This survey cited the impact of socially conscious audiences as the number one trend affecting brands in 2021, underscoring the need for companies to engage with consumers on topics such as mental health, inclusivity, and social justice, lest they face becoming irrelevant. When you know what you're doing with your brand and you hear that, how do you feel about that? And when did you really start to see that wave taking place? I almost consider it a mini movement, if you will. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think we've been doing it as KNEKT for 5 years, and weren't doing a whole lot of commercial projects. It's all the last, I guess, 3.5 years prior to, we were doing all nonprofit benefits, charity galas, events, health and wellness, cooking shows. So that's pretty much the core of everything we've been doing for the last 5 years. The interesting, and then started working with Jay Shetty roughly 2 years ago, doing his live talk shows, and then working on the Icon team on a couple other things. We did the COVID Business Festival in some sort of collaboration with them. And it's been the last, I guess, 6 months or so. We did the Kentucky Derby pre-party at home. So it was sort of a virtual celebrity event where we partnered with my friend Kevin Venegas and Corey Martin with the Martin Venegas Agency, and they were an events company. And so we've been doing these smaller, curated, at-home gift events where a lot of the brands are giving them kits to be able to enjoy something like the Kentucky Derby, or we had Frank Sinatra's birthday party celebration of his birthday, 105th, with Jack Daniels. And then both of those events, through Brown Forman, Jack Daniels, and Woodford Reserve, they've tied back into nonprofits and are building wells now for people in Africa. And I think they've, just from those two projects, I think we're giving 3,000 families water now.
Oh, wow.
There might be more than that. And that was really, really interesting, as I've worked with the brand managers on those brands on their own charity initiatives, but this was the first time that we've ever done something that was, I guess, that big at that level commercially, but that also tied the charities in as a part of the entire initiative.
Right.
So I think within the last 6 months, it's really becoming more and more important. And then with all the other social issues and the human trafficking and Black Lives Matter and all these other issues that I think people are taking a bit bigger, more people are at home and they have more time, I think, to think about a lot of things.
Right.
And it's been like a boiling point for these topics and issues to come to surface, which is exciting because they've needed to.
Right.
So I think that this last year is just the start of what we're going to see more of in 2021. Not with all the, hopefully, the big negative things with
Right.
protests and that, but more on the trend of caring. And I think that's, as we've all been at home and not able to look out so much, looking in has been a big part of that, both on the positive and negative side. So
Yeah, I mean, and nowadays it's like social media and even just consumers in general, they are expecting their favorite brands to align with their values, it seems, right? Like, it's not where you're just selling a product. You are your brand represents everything. And it's I mean, it's definitely, people are, the I said cancer, sorry, I'm a cancer survivor, I don't know why. The cancel culture is real. It's incredibly, and so if brands are leaning into this new opportunity and us, not me mentality, and creating campaigns that touch on issues from plastic waste to gender equality for you. And I'm more kind of going into like, pretending a future producer is listening, right? Somebody, I have a lot of people who want to be in film and want to be in productions or TV. As this becomes important, what is your best advice on navigating some of that and being aware when they create content?
Well, that's such a big question. I think if we were to start on the feature film side, I think that the smart studios are going to be looking for more of those impactful stories woven into the storylines, or as a part of the features that are being created, and then back down to the social content creators on the sort of other end of the spectrum with TV and OTT and everything kind of being in between. I think that it's incredibly important. It's interesting to be having more conversations with people that have been traditional influencers, or supermodels or influencers in the brand space, and they just haven't known how to be more mindful or what to say. And a lot of them have said nothing. But the flip side to that is I've noticed and had a lot of these conversations with them directly. They're starting to share more into their stories, maybe not doing the Instagram posts yet, but they're starting to share more about what's important. And so I think that as it becomes more sort of the subline that was never actually publicly posted on KNEKT was, we want to make it cool to care about things. And I think that as society in general everything's becoming more cool to care about issues, we'll start to see more of that. So I think the advice would be, don't be afraid, don't hold back, because it's where the future trends are going. And if you wanted to look at it from a selfish standpoint, don't be behind the bus when it takes off. You can be one of the leaders and out there. And there's so many great people in the space, from Jay and Lewis Howes and Tom Bilyeu and all these wonderful people that are so successful, and all they're doing is creating content that's helping people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with legacy building. I think as you get older in life and you realize that, money is great, can't take it with you. And what are we really leaving behind, and how we're all accountable. I mean, I feel accountable in this world. I love that you said it's cool to care. And it's so true. That's why I was saying, like, I love it when I go out and I'm networking. Back when I used to go out and network, it's like, what do you, the question, what do you do? I create content for social good. I love saying that. And it's, it makes me proud. Do you work in production and you get all kinds of different projects? I'm sure but how often is it now? Because I mean, like, I have friends at Hello Sunshine and they won't even blink at your material if it is not representing, it's not something that's speaking to, an issue. Does it come up often for you? Is it like people sit you down and say, listen, man, this has to impact society in a good way?
It's pretty much, if not them, it's me saying that. It's more us saying, like, if it doesn't, I don't necessarily know if I want to take it on. So it's kind of, I think, the opposite. And then it's been interesting to see some of the shifts, like with I was mentioning with those other big brands, where it's actually like baked into the budget. This is going specifically to a nonprofit, regardless of donations or anything else. This is just part of what we're doing now. And so I think for me, it's pretty much every conversation.
Yeah.
Actually, there was another New Year's thing that with another large, and it's not the Justin Bieber thing. Those people are all wonderful. So I don't want to say who it is, but
I heard from. Wait, I heard that from my balcony. No joke. I was hearing noise in my neighborhood because I live by Roxbury Park, and all of a sudden I'm hearing loud music, and I tell my husband someone's having a party, and then he goes outside. He goes, well, they're playing a lot of Justin Bieber, and so I go outside. I'm like, is somebody doing a cover? And then I went online and I was like, oh, Justin Bieber is performing in my neighborhood on top of a roof, and that's why I'm hearing him. Okay, gotcha. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had to
I just wanted to say, because if I do know the team over there and Scooter Braun's team, they do so many wonderful initiatives for nonprofits. So I don't want people to think that. But there was another company that reached out and wanted me to do a second New Year's special, and I just didn't want to take it on because it just didn't really align with sort of our values. So.
Right. And you ended up doing Snoop Dogg. I know I probably I'm sorry if I cut you off and then changed I do that if someone cuts me off and I'd lose my train of thought. But speaking on that, you did do the Snoop Big Show, or you did a segment of it. I watched it. It was so fantastic. I loved how everyone was so, he sent, so I mean, I just got to be a little nosy. So he sent out these invites via like video, looked like an arcade thing, and then everyone
so that was actually our partners at MVA built that.
So cool.
So we created the content. So Snoop actually personally gave an introduction and said, hi, all the people it was delivering to, Martha Stewart included.
Right.
We didn't go to her place. We sent it out on a thing. So everybody got a personalized message from Snoop, and then a beautiful package with a bunch of stuff so that they could enjoy their New Year's at home. And then and that was crazy from a production standpoint, because we had to move that whole system around, set it up in front of all these celebrities' houses. And then as part of the Go Big show on TBS, we had their stunt performers. So the video would play and guys would come in flipping, jumping over lowriders or over the big TV box thing that we built out, and then sort of building up all that excitement for New Year's Eve. So that was a lot of fun, and then also making sure that everybody was far enough apart. And I got tested twice last week for COVID, as did every single person on the team, every driver, so that we could do it in a safe and effective way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel bad for my audience sometimes because I can talk. I love talking production, mainly because I hear my husband. When I saw the Tom Cruise clip, I was laughing because it reminded me of my husband, because that is what he's constantly on the phone with producers, attorneys, insurance companies, because they wanted like cast members to get tested like every other day. It was insane, especially for a feature film. One of his films was shut down 5 days before filming stopped. People know about this because it was even in the news. My husband was he was referred to as we are allowed to curse on this. He was referred to as a pussified producer because they had to shut down 5 days before production ended because a day player tested positive. This film starred Tiffany Haddish, Oscar Isaac, Willem Dafoe. Not an easy production to just stop and then have to go back when it was safe. You'd laugh. I made my husband wear a hazmat suit both ways when he had to fly in just to be on set for a day. Anyways, I say that because it is difficult and the challenges are there, but you did a phenomenal job. And I have to credit, because I feel where media comes in is a lot of people are experiencing things in different ways. Right. And I think that the key is to making it as enjoyable as we can and making us feel like we are still in it together and that we care about each other. And that's why, I love it when you say it's cool to be part of the caring, that, it's cool to care. How do you feel that, so there's these benefits of being social good and being an advocate and being a champion, but there are also some drawbacks, I feel. And in your part and from your perspective, what are some of the negatives that you've seen, perhaps?
That's a good question. I think probably working with nonprofits, the biggest challenge is usually budget, and just being able to get things done at a high quality level without having the level of budget that like a traditional network would have.
Sure.
Which has also led to a lot of innovation and us figuring out how to do more with less. So I've shown up for certain projects where, when the budget's there will be 5 or 6 people running different positions, and it's myself with one other person that can do 4 jobs each.
Right.
And that's just because, if it's a smaller nonprofit and they just don't have the means to afford 5 people,
Right.
or we're already losing money having 2 there, but it's a really important thing. It's been, I guess that would be the negative. The positive of that is it's allowed us to get innovative and figure out ways to do more with less.
Absolutely. Right now, so far, what has been your favorite? I mean, not your favorite, but what has been one of probably the most remarkable experiences for you? I mean, and you've done the, award shows, and you've done red carpet, but what is one experience that really stands out to you as, like, I mean, I know you shared the other one about what predicated, but you're part of your journey, but what's one show that you've done that you're like, this is amazing, like this is exactly where I should be?
There's so many. I think this last month we had 50 live virtual events between November 15th or November 12th and the 27th. And I think one of the most proud I was of the Endangered Rangers,
right?
Which was a 3-hour special hosted by Josh Duhamel on the rangers that are protecting the African wildlife. It was like we had appearances from Robert Downey Jr. and Jaimin Hansu, and Don Felder from the Eagles played Hotel California, and Jordan Sparks performed, and it was amazing, and produced 90% from home, and then we had a couple of on location shoots. Patrick Warburton, who went out to his place and filmed a bunch of the voiceover parts for the sort of fun facts, and that one I think was the most proud. And as we've done so much, the production value was not just the message, but the production value was really at a place where I was proud of it. But we did. There's just so many this year. Getting to work with Jack Daniels on something as iconic as Frank Sinatra's birthday, and then to build a well in Africa because of that. The 320 Festival was probably one that I was most excited about, because that was the big pivot moment that turned into something that was so awesome. But probably outside of this year, the first time we did the Daytime Emmys was probably the most exciting, I think. As Mario Lopez opened the show up and thanked everybody for watching it on KNEKT, that was a pretty cool moment to having created something that had gotten to that point where.
It's funny you say Mario. No, that's awesome. I mean, he's just speaking again of COVID. We were supposed to actually meet up with him and his manager right before, we'd gotten an invite. We want to come hang out with us, and then COVID. But, kind of segueing in 2 things I know I kind of skipped over, but, trend experts say that 2021 will include a return of old school marketing, an increase of social gaming, a continued rise of digital disinformation, nostalgia marketing, conversational IA marketing, meme-driven media, and remixing, or the art of recreating content via apps like TikTok, Koji, and Instagram Reels, which actually our organization is doing. If anyone's on TikTok, we finally are getting up our TikTok and taking parts of the podcast and repurposing them. But, A, do you agree with that? And then B, what advice can you offer? I mean, like you said earlier, this is a momentum happening right now. What do you say to creatives both in front of and behind the camera about being leaders in this momentum?
Well, I think that it's there's all of those platforms are definitely, with people being at home, are on the rise. What I've been noticing, and this is very, very recent, the last 5-6 days, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Clubhouse.
Yes, somebody just mentioned it to me last night, actually.
Yeah, so I got invited onto it a month and a half ago, and I've just I logged into it twice, and then within the last 5 days, everybody's on there.
Wow.
And all of these people, like Tiffany Haddish, you mentioned earlier, she's on 4 or 5 times a day. All of these people, all of these big keynote speakers that normally you'd be paying, hundreds of dollars to go see speak to get this information. they're coming on there and just talking openly and sharing information with everybody. And it's like it's a sort of a weird blend of like radio show, but it's not like one host. It's like a room full of people that are all speaking. And I spent a fair amount of time on it this weekend listening and just trying to, see where the culture of that was going. And everybody's about sharing and giving 90% of their information, and then keeping that 10 so they can still sell their books and
Right.
they need to make a living. But it was really interesting to see, because I've never seen so many people, from like Gary Vaynerchuk to all of these folks, just coming in and collectively just wanting to help and coming from such a nice, positive place. So I know that wasn't really the question, but I think that that's going to be the biggest trend for this year is going to be, I think, Clubhouse, and from that it's going to roll out other things, and we'll see how that ties into video, because it is audio only right now, but it's a sort of a weird blend of podcast / radio that is a new frontier that I don't think has really been figured out completely yet.
Wow. I'm actually, now I've got to go get on Clubhouse. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I love your t-shirt, Conscious Outlaw, by the way, for those of you who can't see it. And if you are an audio listener, you must go and see this man. He is both kind, handsome, considerate. And I got to ask this because your shirt reminds me of when I was thinking about this episode and, things I want to present and say. I feel like, do you consider yourself being in that social good community? Are we a little bit of disruptors, do you think? Because we are saying, no, this is kind of the new standard, and this is what we want. I mean, do you consider us disruptors? Because I love your Conscious Outlaw shirt. Kind of makes me feel that way.
Thank you. Yeah, and actually, I switched. I had a different shirt on right before, and I thought I'd throw this one on. Actually, Mike Diamond. He's a wonderful guy. Not the plumber, if you're living in California. We actually partnered with Recovery today, and we've got a whole series. And Mike kind of leads that with those guys. And that's a free series on KNEKT for anybody struggling with any sort of drug or alcohol addiction issues. So yes, I do think so. I think that it is, we are sort of not outlaws, but we're definitely disruptors in that sense. And I think that, as we've seen with Me Too and a lot of trying to keep this positive, but like studio executives and people that have been sort of replaced or outed from the industry, I think that it's definitely moving more into that direction to be more mainstream. But it definitely hasn't been the way that it's been in Hollywood for the last 50 years or
sure
more.
Right. Well, the people who were usually trying to do that social good stuff, it was like, that's cute, but we got to follow what the consumers want. And I just feel that now you're seeing a lot more of it, where it's like, listen, you're gonna get it. Like, I watch Infinity Wars or Endgame or Wonder Woman, and I'm seeing empowerment in it. I'm not seeing just a film anymore. And I like that. I like it a lot. As far as, KNEKT TV, I don't want to take, I know we only have a few minutes left, of course, but I do want to take this opportunity to ask you more. So you have it's a network. Explain what it is for people and how we can support, and what what KNEKT TV means and what it is and where people can see it and how, all of that. I would love to know more.
Awesome. Thank you. So it's spelled KNEKT.TV. And if you go to the website, you can view everything online. We also have an Apple TV app. So same as like a Netflix or Amazon Prime, you can go to Apple TV and download it. Roku, iOS, Android, the Google Play Store. So we do have apps available for all of the different devices as well as TVs. I'm not sure what we're at, probably 80 some series, all focused on social good for the most part. We've got some concerts and music stuff that's there, as well as celebration of success. And we do shows like the Emmys and things like that, where we're talking about what matters to the celebrities on the carpet when they are speaking with us. It's if they're animal advocates, we're talking about that, not their shoes necessarily.
I love that.
So that does set us apart, and that's why it fits for us. And then we do a lot of live events. So we've got usually, well, the last couple months have been crazy, but there's usually weekly, sometimes daily live events, sometimes multiple live events in a day. And those are everything from like the Make-A-Wish Gala to nonprofit concerts to things like Endangered Rangers. And then we have on the web, if you go to the website, there's a button that says web only. There's over 13,000 videos from us and our curated partners that you can come in and watch that should leave you feeling uplifted and inspired in some capacity. So
I love that. I love that. Where do you see KNEKT going in the next few years? You know, don't you love that female question? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see KNEKT TV in 5 years?
Well, this is going to be a big year of growth for us with more series. And then from a technology standpoint, not to dive too deep into that, but we've got some pretty cool new tech that we're going to be employing that'll allow our content to be in more places. And so far it's just been myself. I haven't had any outside investors or partners aside from like the technologies that we use. So we're having some discussions to sort of be able to ramp things up and reach more people through some of the things that we're working on for this year. So
that is incredible. I think now wait, this is going to be a personal question. Are you married, kids, family? Like what else is going on in Kent's life outside of TV and film and production?
Pretty much this last year it's been this. I am actually divorced and I was married in Canada. And I have a son that lives in Vancouver, and he likes to be pretty private. So that's, if you're on my social, you don't see him. We talk about that all the time, and he wants to have a private life. And so that's,
my kids are the same, by the way. My kids won't even it's so hard for me to get a picture with them, let alone sharing them. But, no, I mean, I love that. And I think that for your son, you're obviously creating an amazing role model for him. I think that that's quite admirable. Do you guys FaceTime? How has it been, you not being able to get back to Canada? How has that been?
Yeah, it's been, that part's been a little bit tough, to be honest. And then also being 13, I remember when I was 13, I did not want to talk to my parents or go into places or anything else. So so he's going through being a 13-year-old.
Okay, yeah, I got to give you that look. I'm over here giving you that look like, you got a 13-year-old? Hold on. I thought I get it when people are like, hear me, I got the grandkids and stuff. But you said you have a 13-year-old. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. I thought you were like 25.
Well, thank you. No, I had my 40th last year. So,
but you know what? It took a long time for me to understand that actually the 40s is not old. It's older. But like, I remember thinking the 40s when I was 20, thinking the 40s was going to be older. And then I arrived into my 40s and, I'm 45. So it's like, I arrived into my 40s like, all right, you know what? Listen, I've been in my 40s and I've been in a club in Ibiza. I've been, having fun in Kent. Like, I love to live life. I think that's just a reflection of everything I've gone through personally. But which is also why this last year has been very, very hard. Everything I do is about living the best quality of life I can now, because I never know when that's going to change or when that might end, or when the doctor, God forbid, he calls up again and says, hey, you've recurred with cancer and you're going to have to go back on chemo and you can't travel and you can't do certain things. Yeah. So I really don't wait around. There's a saying I became familiar with a while back, and I love it because it says goddesses don't buy green bananas. And I love the goddesses term for, I know, I think it applies, but I feel like in general, we got to put another word, but in general, if you're just that personality, and some people are like, what do you mean you don't buy green bananas? Because we don't have time to wait around for them to sit on the counter and get ripe, right? And exercising the amount of patience has to be difficult. How have you managed that patience? And just, I know we're going to let go of you soon, but how is, with everything that you've done and everything that you've experienced, what is your best piece of advice right now for people to manage what we're going through and experiencing and continue on?
Well, I think with anything, it's like building, the first 3 years of building KNEKT, it was definitely not easy, but it was just every day getting up and doing it again and just getting better and better and better. And I think that with a lot of people, what they're going through right now, it's going to be figuring out new ways to do things with all kinds of industries that have been sort of devastated. I think I'm watching some people going back to school and getting learning how to code or doing different things that they're going to be able to learn some new skill sets with. And I think that that's what's going to be the most important for getting through 2021, as we're, with the vaccines and things coming back into, how not normal, because we're in a different space now, but as things will get back into more of an open society, I think that learning new tools that you can apply moving forward is going to be what's the most important. And I know for myself, like I was saying, everything got canceled, and we just started with just trying to figure out how do we help people, and
Right.
that turned into where we're at now and being able to do these virtual events. And then I actually haven't ever publicly said this, but I actually did get COVID also, and there was 2 days where I phoned my parents and said I didn't know if I was going to wake up in the morning.
Wow.
And so for those people who don't take it serious, it's serious.
Right.
And when I got through that, I also had a sort of like a second chance at life, it felt like, and kind of just went bigger and just did things that I'd been holding back on a personal side of things that are just wanting to do things that I just decided it was time and did. So
Yeah, absolutely. I can't, you speak my language when you speak that. And I say that, exactly, having battled health issues such as cancer, yeah, there is this point afterwards that it's not normal. It doesn't return the same, but you do develop a greater appreciation for life. And I think that's why I've always spoken to that spirit, that like that wake up call that's like, whoa, I don't really want to waste time that other people wish they had. Right. So I can appreciate that. Now, with all these wonderful things that you're doing in social good, what is your call to society? Like, where do you leave off saying, society, this is what I'm doing, I'm pulling my part? What do you say to the people out there consuming this content?
That's a good question. I think that hopefully the content should be speaking for itself and giving them what to do. I don't know. It's for myself, I've been more about supporting the content creators to help them get their message to people.
Right.
And I think that that's been my biggest calling. Yeah,
I think you said it earlier. You said care more. I think like ultimately like care more. You guys are going, we're going, I consider myself part of that group, but obviously you're doing it on a bigger level. I love it. And I applaud it. And I think that it should, like you said, inspire people to care more, do more, and come out and support organizations like yourself with that. So I really appreciate your time, your effort, and all that you do. I'm so happy that we finally got it to connect, because I'd been meaning to. I was like, I'm like, I know you get it though, when it's like, okay, I'm gonna call you, and then like your schedule gets slammed, and you're like, oh my gosh, but I really am thankful, because I do believe timing is everything, and I really like to have intentional conversations, and knowing that you are a fellow, creative, who is not just out there doing the work, but then creating a message and helping others, creatives create these social good messages, is just, it's encouraging. I love it. I hope more people do it, and I hope more people support you with what you are doing with KNEKT TV. So I really, really want to thank you for taking the time. And where, for the listening audience, one more time, where can they support you on IG? I know for the audio or video we have it, but what is your IG handle, or where do you prefer people reach out to you if they want to support or stay connected?
So my personal, on everything for myself personally, is Kent Speakman, KENT SPEAKMAN. And then for KNEKT, it's KNEKT TV, KNEKT.TV. So feel free to reach out, and if you're impacted with COVID and unable to work, send me a message on any of the social platforms, and I will send you a free subscription for a year so you can watch all the content and not have to pay for it.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, you better get on it, audience. All right. Well, thank you so much. I will definitely be checking in with you. And when we can get back together again, I'm taking you to lunch, and I'm going to fully thank you. And I look forward to that. So thank you so much, Kent.
Thanks so much. Good luck with your computer.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know, because literally I was changing my shirt. You talked about changing the shirt. I'm changing the shirt. My handle hits the bottle spills on the computer, and I'm just like, ah. But I'm so glad we got through it. For everyone else at home, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you've learned, and I really look forward to seeing you next week. But in the meantime, thank you so much for letting us be unsugarcoated. Take care. Bye. Here. Come back next week.